Do you guys know the expression in quotation marks or in all capital letters, the German problem? Have you studied that? So there's this historic saying, it's the German problem. And we were talking about how Berlin was a backwater in the 16th century or in the 17th century. And so you had these traditionally powerful countries. You know, you had Britain, or before that you would say England, you had France. But Germany was just this collection of tiny little, you know, duchies and principalities. And when Germany unified, people started talking about, you know, what do we do about Germany? Because this new country is just too powerful for the balance of power in Europe. And the answer turned out to be fight a lot of wars. And then eventually cut it in half. Let the Soviets have their Germany, let the Americans and the Brits and the French share their Germany. Everybody can share Berlin, and then we won't have a German problem because this divided Germany that we're keeping apart is obviously, you know, not going to be too powerful for the rest of us to handle. So then in 1989, the Berlin Wall fell. This city came back together. This country came back together, and the French said, well, we need some kind of promise that we're not all going to break up and go our separate ways and fight wars again. And their big idea was the euro. That was going to solve everything because they would all have the same money, and that would mean that they'd get along better. They'd never fight again. Swedish people here are like, I'm so glad we didn't join the euro. Right? This euro crisis that we keep hearing about is sort of like, it's almost like an economic war version of what was happening before, which is Germany's once again too powerful. I mean, what Germany has done is actually pretty impressive if you think about it. You know, it lost World War I, and then it comes back, you know, more powerful than before. It lost World War II, and then even as a half country, as West Germany, it becomes like the greatest, you know, exporter per capita in the world. You know, it has to rebuild East Germany from basically nothing, and then once again, you know, it's so good at building these factory machines and these other things that the rest of the continent really and truly can't keep up. The Germans, they feel bad. They feel bad about the fact that Spain has 50% unemployment for young people. They want to help, but then on the other hand, they say, well, wait a minute, like, you know, we had to do tough things to get where we are, and why should we just pay for you? So there's like these two impulses. There's this I want to help, we're all in this together impulse on the one hand, and then there's the why don't you do the hard things that I did? Why don't you go to graduate school, so to speak?